Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patron, Mike K. Thank you for choosing to support Electrified. Let's kick off this video with some quick speculation from Joe Tetmeyer. He said the rumor is employees are working the Cybertruck lines today, but he could not confirm. And Dirty Tesla said someone sent me a very cool Cybertruck video for my birthday, but he couldn't share it. And then Tesla Phoenix shared this screenshot saying ramp up starting Monday for the Cybertruck. It's like a ghost town in the factory right now. And if you've been around the channel, you will have seen that picture of the Cybertruck production line at Giga Texas being up and running to some degree, so none of this really should be a surprise. And the last bit of speculation, leaked video of the secret Tesla van prototype designed for Elon's Vegas loop from inside the Boring Company's Las Vegas headquarters. Yes, I agree. This thing looks ridiculous. I have no idea what it actually is, if anything, but did want to at least point out there is a Tesla steering wheel on it, along with a Tesla-like screen right behind it. So yeah, I understand why there's some excitement around this. But yeah, even if this is a very early prototype, I think we can do better than this. Could that be a very early version of something like this? Sure, Tesla and Elon have talked about it in the past, and it would make a lot of sense for a company like the Boring Company, but for now, in my book, it's pretty close to a nothing. And for people thinking this is the Tesla van, I'm not one of them. I think Matt Smith brings up a really good point here, talking about Rivian's negative 81% gross margins right now. I think a lot of people just think because Tesla did what it did that the Rivians and Lucids kind of have the path laid out of what they need to do, but executing is an entirely different story. And the truth is, Tesla never really had gross margins to the extent that Rivian and Lucid do. Going back into the archives, Tesla Q2 2012, when the Model S was just getting started, automotive gross margin was 9%. Q2 2011, automotive gross margin was at a record 22%. Skipping ahead, Q2 2014, non-GAAP automotive gross margin 26.8%. Q2 2016, automotive gross margin 23.1%. I think you get the picture. This is worthy of a deeper dive one day, and once some of the projects I'm working on are in a more stable position, then I'll have some more time to dive in. In ARK Invest weekly newsletter, they were talking about potential take rates for autonomous ride-hailing companies. Previously, they were expecting Tesla maybe to be in the neighborhood of taking about 60% of any gross revenue that's generated from a robotaxi platform. Now, they're saying that number could be higher, somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 to 90% of what Tesla takes, leaving that 10 or 20% for the people bringing their cars into the network. Their previous assumption was taking Uber's roughly $2 per mile mark, then Tesla could pay the customer or the owner of a robotaxi between 20 to 30 cents per mile at scale, leaving about $1.70 for Tesla to capture. ARK cited some new research they did not consider before, talking about cohesion transaction cost principles. Simple takeaway, marketplaces set fees based on the transaction costs they obviate or remove. Autonomous ride-hail operators should be able to curtail execution costs, namely the cost of finding a good driver. I'll put the research below, but just a new number to keep in mind. In case for some reason you still need to hear it, Elon said autonomy is an insanely big deal. That's what really matters. The Tesla China weekly sales numbers came in at 3,200. Just to show you a few of the recent week ones in new quarters. Back in Q4, 2,200. Week 1 Q1 this year, 2,100. Week 1 Q2, 6,900. And here we are today. So if anything, week 1 of Q2 was more of an outlier on the high side than this number being an outlier on the low side, because it's really not. And the question should be posed, what's going on with Model 3 production in China? Are the lines shut down? Are they being upgraded? We really don't know. And just to touch on the rumors that Tesla has set the price for the next generation more affordable vehicle, saying it's going to be between 22 and 25,000. Now sure, it'll probably fall in that range, but let's not forget, the Cybertruck is entering production here in a matter of weeks, and we still don't know the price of that vehicle. So for us to sit here and think that Tesla has locked in a price for a vehicle that may not enter production until 2025, seems unlikely to me. Shout out to a community member of ours for sharing this video of him trying out his Vessis in Iceland.
Okay, here's your Vessis. Nice dog. Yeah. We're in Iceland. Seeing some waterfalls. There we go. Completely dry. Yeah.
I won't share your name, but you know who you are. True story, all of you that have reached out sharing that you bought some Vessis have given great reviews, and some of you plan on buying some more. Which of course is the goal. Share products and services some of you guys will find valuable, helpful, and enjoyable. Today's sponsor, Vessi, makes some super comfortable, stylish, in my opinion, and functional shoes that are, yes, 100% waterproof. Vessi also brings clean drinking water to places like India, Nepal, and Zimbabwe, something that most of us here in America take for granted. Vessis are made with Dymatex material that keeps you cool in the summer and warm and dry in the winter. Plus, the soles are removable if you prefer your own inserts. They're incredibly easy to put on and take off, and they've become my go-to shoes for running errands and going on walks with Ashley, and yes, I have worked out in these as well. Vessi has all kinds of different styles and colors for both men and women, so if you'd like to check them out, you can get 15% off using my code Electrified at vessi.com/electrified, linked below. Enjoy. You may have seen this quote floating around the interwebs. It's from an LA freelance writer who used to report on the news in Detroit. He said, "What's painfully obvious is GM and Ford can't compete with Tesla, which has been singularly focused on making EVs for more than 20 years and is overseen by a CEO whose technical competence exceeds the combined talents of Barra and Farley." The writer's name is Eric Starkman, and overall it was a good piece, just a lot of things we already know. It'll be below if you're interested. But there was something else that he mentioned. Do you remember when GM announced they were stopping reservations for the Hummer EV because it was so popular, with over 90,000 reservations? Well, I do. And if you look at their Q2 2023 sales numbers and you scroll down a little bit, you will find the Hummer EV, they sold 47 units in Q2 this year, 49 units year to date in 2023. Just a good reminder of how much grace Legacy Auto gets in the media. Can you guys imagine if Tesla and Elon were doing numbers like that? Since we're already talking about GM, they have cut the starting price for the Cadillac Lyriq in China by 14%, dropping it from about $60.7 thousand and now sitting at $52.4 thousand. We have Ekster again reporting now what would be the third potential V4 supercharging location, again this one in France. Clearly not open yet, but it looks like they're going with a parallel setup for the stalls rather than the typical perpendicular that we often see. And really, these are almost more like version 3.5 because sure, they have longer cables and the new stall, but they still have the same charging speeds that's supposedly going to be unlocked with a software update in the future. Drive Tesla Canada shared this video of the Quartzsite supercharging location that's being built in Arizona, and they note 2 pull-through chargers, which is always good to see. Just sharing because I believe this would be the biggest supercharging location. There's 88 plus stalls outside of California. As we know, with all of the recent NACS announcements, we can't have too many of these. Tesla has agreed to pay just over $6 million to settle a class action lawsuit, the one regarding sudden solar roof price hikes in 2021, after these customers basically agreed to a certain price, then halfway through, after signing the contract, Tesla raised the price. And we're not talking a $500 Model Y price bump, we're talking nearly double in some cases according to court filings. 8.6 thousand Tesla customers were part of the group affected by these price hikes. Over 6.3 thousand have canceled their solar roof contracts with Tesla Energy. Tesla completed about 1.6 thousand of those contracts at the original price quoted to customers, and 57 customers are slated for solar roof installations at the original price at the end of June. And it sounds like about 600 people are in limbo. They haven't yet canceled, but they don't have booked installations either. There's been a lot of chatter about the used EV prices collapsing right now and that Tesla is leading the way, specifically the Model 3 and the Model X. We just have to remember, from last year, they were coming from unsustainably high prices. Looking at the year-over-year change in 1 to 5-year-old used EV prices for June of this year, the average price sits at $40.9 thousand, down over $17,000 from that month last year, or about 30%. But again, just keep in mind, a huge portion of the used EV market is what company? Tesla. What has Tesla done all year? They've driven down their prices for new vehicles, so used vehicles will of course follow. So every month so far this year, used EV prices have been steadily declining. And now it's starting to taper off and normalize. Here's the chart with 10 used vehicles seeing the greatest year-over-year price drops for the month of June, led by the Model 3 and the Model X, and then the Model S is in 4th place. Just wanted to highlight, if you see anybody trying to use this to paint the narrative that Tesla value is deteriorating, they really don't know what they're talking about. Again, coming from the unsustainably high prices last year and what Tesla has been doing with new car prices all year this year. This is still apparently one of the weirdest stories related to Tesla. It's called Project 42 internally. It's that whole story with the special glass order that caused some internal questions. Then there was reporting that Elon was going to use some Tesla funds and materials to basically build a house for himself in Austin with all of the land that he was acquiring in that area through his LLC. If you've been around the channel, you may also remember the reporting that Elon was planning a town somewhere in Austin, a full-on city. He immediately shot that one down. Just a weird one all around. It's not like Elon needs a few $1 million of Tesla's funds to build his own property if he really wanted to in the Austin area, and there's really no news in this article. It's all just speculation and talking about the other reporting. So there may be some board investigation that's ongoing internally at Tesla, but apparently Elon's not too concerned about it. And finally, we get some positive news from some of the competition when it comes to EV sales. This time around, Mercedes. Their full-on BEV sales rose to 56.3 thousand units in Q2, up 123% year over year. And in the first 6 months of this year, Mercedes sold 102.6 thousand BEVs worldwide, up 121%. In the first half of this year in the United States, the percentage figure is big, 505%, but they're still only sitting at 23.8 thousand full BEVs in the US. Toyota has decided to pivot yet again. Now it's going to focus on hydrogen fuel cell vehicles in Europe and China. And the goal for these hydrogen-powered trucks and cars, 200,000 of them by 2030. And they're painting it not just as a focus for the commercial long-haul trucking segment, which sure be my guest, but they're painting it as an alternative to electric vehicles. Toyota sold just over 3,900 fuel cell vehicles in all of 2022. Toyota is also looking to strengthen ties with other companies. At this point, I really don't know if they're just trying to play in markets that Tesla's not playing in, or if they're really undecided on BEVs being the future. Whatever the case, they better figure it out, and soon. And low-key, Tesla Energy just out here executing quietly, as has been the case for a while, now looking to expand in the UK with a job posting for Head of Operations, Tesla Electric Retail Energy. Good catch by Drive Tesla Canada. And looking at the actual job posting, what this role will do, market activities resulting in obtaining an electricity supply license in the UK to prepare for commercial launch of a retail electricity product in the UK. When you look around, you start to see plenty of seeds that Tesla has planted and is busy planting that one day will be watered and begin to grow. Don't forget, check out Vessi linked below if you're interested. I really do think a lot of you would enjoy them. You can find me on Twitter at DylanLoomis22. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.